Welcome back to another segment of Buckingham Business Review, where we examine the intersection of strategy, people, and tactics. My name is Bernie Wolford, President and Founder of Buckingham. And we are back with a second segment with Mr. Charles Green. If you missed the first segment, we certainly encourage you to go back and learn more about his focus with Charles Green and Company. Charles, let's dive right in. First of all, congratulations. I see that there's a third release of your book called the SBA Loan Book. I suspect that would not have happened unless 1 and 2 were quite successful.
Yeah.
Let's begin by telling our audience a little bit about that book and its intended audience and how people are using it in this area of small business financing.
Thank you, Bernie. I wrote the original book because so many of my clients needed consulting after I explained to them why they didn't qualify for financing and what they needed to go back and visit on in their own company and their financial position. And I finally learned after doing that 100 times that I could put it in writing and commercialize it and spread it to entrepreneurs across the country. The book has done fairly well over time, and the SBA continues to promulgate its rules and make changes, so that leads to the need for a second and a third, and there will be a fourth edition coming out, I'm sure, in a couple years.
Very good. I remember perusing it perhaps a year or so ago, and one thing, being the industrial engineer I am, one thing that really impressed me was that even the forms I need are in the book. How efficient is that? So it's sort of a one-stop shop to learn about the SBA and whether or not I can participate in that, and if I can, to go ahead and get started. So it sounds like it's a very functional book in addition to educational book.
Well, the feedback I've gotten on the book over time has been that it breaks down the language into something very accessible to the average business person. It's not banker speak. I've tried to write it as I talk with people and consult to people in their own language. And it is all about the SBA, Small Business Administration guaranteed loan products that help a lot of small businesses navigate and get a financing that has the credit enhancement provided by the SBA to the bank.
Very good. And are there 1, 2, 3 really upfront litmus tests as to whether or not that is the preferred way for me to go, as opposed to other options for financing my business? What are if somebody stops you on the street and say, Charles, what do you need to know if SBA is the right path for me? What is your response?
My response is that the real value is it allows the bank to take a longer term risk on you. So if you're buying a piece of real property, a typical bank loan will be something to the order of they will amortize it, say, over a 20-year period, and they'll have to have a balloon in maybe 5 to 7 years because they're not capable of taking that kind of risk. They're not investors. And going out beyond that term is riskier because they don't know what the economy's going to do or what you're going to do or how their bank's going to do. With that credit enhancement provided by the SBA guarantee, they're able to assure the bank that enhancement for 25 years. So you can amortize the loan on the same term as the useful life of the property in all likelihood. And it means you won't have to stop every 5 years and renew it with an added cost, renew it with the risk of what the real estate market is doing at that time, how your business has done in the immediate period. So if we've gone through a recessionary period, maybe you didn't miss any payments, but your business suffered, and if your loan comes up for renewal, you may have a more difficult time renewing it. The SBA loan guarantee takes that risk away.
Very good. And I've recently become aware of Get Financing Now, another book that was released in January. What is the focus of that piece of work?
Get Financing Now takes a deeper dive into the financial management side of your business. It's intended to communicate what all those silly questions are about and what the banker or the investor is looking at in terms of your financial performance. Helps you really figure out better how to determine your own cash cycle. When the money comes, when you need to use money from your business to your business, and when it comes back out on the other side. So you have to buy materials, you have to hire labor, you have to have infrastructure. So that's where the money has to go in. when you produce it and when you get paid for it is where it comes back to you.
Okay.
And a lot of folks don't understand that gap. After the financial management piece, the last half of the book is about capital formation, using your own resources more wisely and more efficiently, accessing debt financing, which is what's going to be the appropriate and only method available for most small businesses. But there's different kinds of debt. There's SBA guaranteed debt or other government guaranteed products. There is conventional financing. There is asset-based kinds of financing. So I explain all these different channels and what those lenders are looking for to make that available. And then I spend a large part of the second half on equity financing, sort of demystifying the big grand scheme of what investors are looking for and how that money is going to be distributed.
Fantastic. It sounds like this will not do it justice, but just understanding the terms is sometimes 50% of becoming knowledgeable in an area. It sounds like you have done that. Well,
Sure.
Well, we are fortunate to be visiting with Charles Green, and in our next segment with Charles, we're going to talk about the Small Business Finance Institute, of which Charles is the founder. So we encourage you to come back and watch an additional segment. So until then, this is Bernie Wolford, your host. Thanks for watching Buckingham Business Review.